Today we are going to study next part of the chapter solution. In the last chapter you have studied different concentration terms, how can represent amount of solute into solvent in different ways. Today we are going to study certain properties of a solution, and basically these are the physical properties, not the chemical properties. So for studying physical properties, we first need to categorize the solution. What is the category of solvent and solute, and how much amount of solute or solvent has been dissolved in the given amount. So first we need to study what is the meaning of solubility. As you all know, solution is a mixture of two components, solute and solvent, and the mixture has to be homogeneous, then only it is called the solution. Whatever is larger in amount is called solvent, and smaller in amount is called solute. But if amount of solute is varying in different solutions, their properties will also vary. A thick solution of sugar into water, that is more viscous than a diluted solution. So since viscosity varies, other properties will also vary. So first we need to standardize the concentration of solution, and for that what we express is the term solubility. How much solute can be dissolved, that is ability of a solute to be dissolved. Now here when we are measuring the ability of a solute, other things need to be standardized. For example, if you are adding small solute into large amount of solvent, properties will vary. But if you are adding the same solute into very small amount of solvent, solution will show some other properties. So other thing which need to be standardized is amount of solvent. Now for that there are two ways. One is the volume, it may vary, so it will define the properties. And other way is we can take the mass of solvent. Mass of solvent is required in the expressions where temperature variation has to be recorded. As you know, on increasing or decreasing the temperature, density of liquids change. So just to eliminate those variations, we don't consider volumes, rather we consider masses of the solvent. And as a standard we have taken 100 gram of solvent, and then whatever amount of solute is required to prepare a saturated solution, that is called the solubility. But in this case temperature also plays a very important role. If we increase the temperature, if we dissolve solute at two different temperatures, amount of solute dissolved will vary. So if we have to define solubility, we have to maintain the temperature constant. So generally that temperature is taken 25 degrees centigrade. So now definition of solubility becomes mass of solute required to prepare a saturated solution, means no more can be dissolved in the given 100 gram of solvents at 25 degrees centigrade. When all these three factors are incorporated, the term is called solubility. One thing. Now solubility of different things, different type of solvents also varies. So here we have to study factors affecting solubility. First solid and liquid, and then a gas and solid and liquid. These are very common things you have studied in junior classes also. A polar solvent dissolves a polar solute, and a non-polar solvent dissolves a non-polar solute. So if you are taking ionic compound, it will dissolve in polar solvents like water or liquid ammonia. And if you are taking a non-polar like chloroform or benzene or naphthalene or benzoic acid, so these will be more soluble in non-polar solvents like methanol, ethanol, benzene, etc. Carbon disulfide, carbon tetrachloride, so many of non-polar solvents. The basic thing is like dissolves like, that rule applies here. Second factor which has to be studied is temperature. Now here you must have studied there are certain chemicals which on dissolving in water make the beaker cold. Few of you must have undergone this experiment part also. So we take there is one thing which is called potassium nitrite. When it is dissolved in water, a solution is formed, but at the same time beaker becomes very cold. It means heat is being absorbed from the environment. So this reaction is called endothermic reaction. It is absorbing heat from outside. So if you keep on giving more of the heat, it will keep on getting dissolved. So any dissolving process which is endothermic that will require more of the temperature. At higher temperature, solubility will increase. On the other hand, if you're taking a solution, a substance, a solute which increases the temperature, like if you dissolve copper sulfate or sodium sulfate into water, beaker becomes very hot. It's difficult to hold it even with the hands. So here heat is being evolved out. Now, since heat is being evolved, product side, if you increase the temperature, product is increased. So equilibrium will vary. It will shift in product side. So for exothermic reactions, solubility of the substance decreases on increasing the temperature. In other words, we can also say when lattice energy and hydration energy comparison, when lattice energy is more than hydration energy, we need to provide some temperature to break the lattice energy, and then only solubility increases. But if lattice energy is less than hydration energy, some amount of energy is released out, so it can be done at lower temperatures even. So that is one factor you have done in junior classes. Next effect is pressure. Generally on dissolving of solid in a liquid, pressure has minimum effect, no effect, because no volume change is taking place more significantly. So here pressure generally has no effect in this particular case. These same factors we have to study for solution of gases and liquids. So whenever we are talking about nature of the gas, here also the same rule follows, like dissolves like polar gases in polar solvents. Now polar gas, like you're taking H2S or you're taking ammonia or you're taking carbon dioxide, these gases are very, very much soluble in polar solvents. Now one thing arises, ammonia is exceptionally soluble in water. What is the reason behind that? Other polar gases do not dissolve to this much extent. Here one thing goes, whenever there is a chemical reaction going on between solute and solvent, that increases solubility to a much larger extent. So these are three gases which are exceptionally soluble in water because they undergo chemical reactions. Otherwise, polar non-polar factor that dominates. Now same thing goes for nature of solvent as well. A polar solvent will dissolve polar gases and non-polar will dissolve non-polar gases. Here one thing more can be taken into account, if there is any possibility of formation of hydrogen bond between solute and solvent, then only solubility increases. That is one case in case of ammonia or H2S also, HCl. So these are other factors. If there is any special type of bonding arising between a solute and a solvent, solubility increases. Next is temperature. Now here for gases and liquids, one very common example is your cold drink bottles only. So if cold drink bottle is allowed to come to normal temperature, when you open it, suddenly you see gas comes out very strongly with a fizz, but in the cold bottle it does not happen. So reason behind is at higher temperature solubility of CO2 decreases, so it has come out in form of a gas, and suddenly if you open it up at higher temperature, it will be released very soon. What do you infer by that? What do you conclude? That at higher temperature solubility of gases decreases. Solids के case में it was different. Lower the temperature, solubility higher will be solubility of the gas. इसका एक reason हम लोग कभी कभी पढ़ते हैं कि why are aquatic animals uncomfortable in warm waters or hot waters. Reason behind this is oxygen becomes less soluble in hot water, so animals are not able to respire properly, and that is why they feel more comfortable in colder regions. Now next is effect of pressure. This is something we need to understand very strongly. First, which pressure we are talking about? Actually, we are not talking about the pressure of the atmosphere. We are generally talking about the pressure of gas which is in contact with the liquid. So if we are talking about a liquid surface in which a gas has to be dissolved, so here pressure applied by the gas, that decides how much mass of gas has been dissolved. So this is mass of the gas and it is directly proportional to pressure of gas on the liquid surface. That is how we put the statement. And this law is called Henry's law. So what do we say? At a given temperature, temperature has to be constant in all the cases. At a given temperature, mass of gas dissolved in given amount of liquid is directly proportional to pressure of the gas over the liquid surface. Now you all know, generally our calculations take place in form of number of moles. When moles are correlated with the amount of solvent, there are various ways. So one of the ways is mole fraction. So if you write mole fraction as X, it will be directly proportional to pressure of the gas. That will be another expression, that is mole fraction of the gas in the liquid is directly proportional to pressure of the gas over the surface of liquid. And when you bring the proportionality constant, X is equal to KH into P is pressure, and KH is called Henry's constant. So that is how a pressure factor is applicable on solubility of a gas. So here one very common reasoning is asked, why do mountaineers carry gas cylinders with them? At high altitudes, what happens is pressure of gas is low. So when oxygen comes in contact of the blood and lungs, less oxygen is dissolved than required than it does in the plains. So mountaineers do not get sufficient amount of oxygen dissolved, or a sufficient amount, they start breathing more rapidly. So that is called sleep or sickness, high altitude sickness. So they need to carry the oxygen cylinders with them. So that is one reason. There are few more. You can go through your books and complete this part of the chapter. Next we will study some more properties of the solution.